Okay, good morning. Welcome students. So today we're going to be working with 2.7 dividing decimals. Our standard is 6th grade number sense A. Our objective is that you will be able to divide decimals and solve problems involving division of decimals. Your mathematical literacy, we have quotient, dividend, divisor, remainder, numerator, denominator, estimate, and whole number. So in this video, we're going to be using long division to divide whole numbers by decimals, decimals by whole numbers, and dividing decimals by decimals. Now remember that our number one goal is to have a better understanding of this long division process because we want you to master this so that you can divide any division problem. Alright, so I suggest that you would write these problems down, pause the video, solve it, and then we can compare answers afterwards. I think that would be more beneficial for you guys rather than you just staring at the screen and listening me go through these. But it's up to you. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so with 2.7 dividing decimals, our success criteria by the end of this lesson, you will be able to divide decimals by whole numbers, and you will also be able to divide decimals by decimals and whole numbers by decimals. Again, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so for our mathematical literacy, by that I mean our vocabulary words, we have the dividend, which is the amount that you want to divide up, divided by our divisor, the amount that you want to divide by, equals the quotient, the answer to any division problem. So we have this example here. Let's say we have 672 horses and we want to divide them into 8 groups. So we would solve for Q. Q would be the unknown variable. Basically, you're just looking for the quotient. So we do have 672 and 8. By the way, they're both whole numbers. A whole number is any number from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to positive infinity. Now remember that with whole numbers, there's no fractional or decimal parts, and also there's no negatives as well. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here's the steps to go ahead and divide. Now we want you guys to set up the problem for solving first, and then divide, multiply, subtract, bring down any numbers, and repeat as necessary. Okay, so that's basically it. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so our first two examples, we're going to be dividing decimals by whole numbers. Go ahead and pause this video, write down these problems, and try it out for yourself first using these steps here. So set up the problem for solving, divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down, and repeat as necessary. Okay, so that should have give you some sort of ample time. Let's go ahead and do this. So we have the first problem here. We have 7 6/10 divided by 4. So again, here's the steps. So set up the problem, solve, divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down, repeat as necessary. All right, we have the dividend 7 6/10. We're going to put that inside the box. 7 6/10 divided by the divisor 4, the whole number 4. Now we have to ask ourselves here, how many times can I fit 4 into 7? Well, you can fit 4 into 7 one time. Okay, so we divided 4 into 7, it goes in there one time. Now we're going to multiply. So 4 times 1 is going to be 4. Next we subtract. 7 take away 4 is going to be 3. And the next thing we'll do is bring down the 6. And then you just repeat the process. So again, let's see how many times 4 can fit into 36. Well, 4 can go into 36 9 times. Now, 4 times 9 is going to be 36. Okay, we multiplied. And 36 take away 36 is going to be 0. It does not have a remainder. Now, in this problem, you do see a decimal point here. So after we divided, we're going to take that decimal point and just bring it straight up. Okay. Now our quotient is going to be I'll read the problem first. So 7 6/10 divided into 4 parts is going to be 1 9/10. Okay. All right, so we're going to use a calculator to check this. Okay, so how you check this is you take your quotient, 1 9/10, and the opposite of division is multiplication, or we can say the inverse operation of multiplication is division as well. So we're going to do 1 9/10 times your divisor, 4. We should get the dividend 7 6/10. So we got the product 7 6/10, so it checks. Now I don't mind you guys using a calculator to check your work, or even to multiply, but as long as you show your work, that should suffice. You're going to need to learn how to operate these different technologies as you go forward anyway. But go ahead and get some practice in. Let's try the next one. Okay, so for our second problem, we have 4 374/10,000 divided by 12. So let's go ahead and write the problem out for solving. So we have 4 374/10,000 divided by the divisor 12. Okay, so the first thing we have to ask ourselves is, how many times can 12 fit into 4? Well, it can't fit into 4. Now, as soon as we do that, we're just going to go ahead and continue. How many times can 12 fit into 43? Well, 12 can fit into 43 3 times. Now, 12 times 3 is going to be 36. And now we're at the subtraction part. 43 take away 36 is going to be 7. Bring down your 7 here. Now, how many times can 12 fit into 77? Well, 12 can divide into 77 about 6 times. 12 times 6 is going to be 72. Now, 77 take away 72 is going to be 5. Bring down your 4. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this now. Now, 12 can fit into 54. Let's see here, 12 can fit into 54 about 4 times. Doing some mental math here. Now 12 times 4 is going to be 48. Okay, so we divided, we multiplied, now we're going to subtract. Now 54 take away 48 is going to be 6. And then we don't want a remainder, so let's keep dividing. So we're just going to annex 0 and bring that down. Okay, now 12 can go into 60. Let's see, 12 can go to 65 times. 12 times 5 is going to be 60. 60 take away 60 is 0. Okay, now again, that decimal point in the dividend goes straight up. Okay, now your quotient is going to be up top, dividend inside the box, and your divisor outside the box. Now again, we're going to go ahead and check. We're going to check using a calculator again. So we're going to multiply the quotient. Okay, we're going to multiply the quotient. So we have, let's type in the quotient. Now we're going to multiply that times the divisor 12. Now we should get the dividend 4 374/10,000. We have 4 374/10,000. It checks, so we are correct. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and divide decimals. Now again, I do encourage you guys to pause the video, write this down, and solve it on your own, and then we can compare answers. All right, thank you for doing that. Okay, so it's the same process. Okay, it's the same steps. Okay, we're going to set the problem up for solving, divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down, and then repeat as necessary. Okay, so we do have this first problem. We have 18 2/10 divided by 1 4/10. So again, same process, set it up for problem solving. So 18 2/10 divided by 1 and 4/10. Okay, remember that this is the dividend divided by the divisor. Okay, so in this case, we're going to move that decimal point to the right, all the way to the right. So we moved it over one time. Okay, so what I do to the outside, I need to do to the inside. So I do the same thing here. All right. Now all that does, it makes 1 and 4/10 into a whole number, and it makes 18 and 2/10 into a whole number as well. So now this is 182 divided by 14. Okay. All right, so let's solve this. So 14 can go into 18 one time. 14 times 1 is going to be 14. 18 take away 14 is 4. Bring down your 2. Now again, 14 can fit into 42 3 times. 14 times 3 is going to be 42. 42 take away 42 is 0. Okay. Now that decimal point, because it was here, we moved it here, it goes straight up. So your final answer is going to be the quotient 13. Again, let's go ahead and check this. So we're going to take the quotient 13 times the divisor 1 and 4/10. So let's go to multiply that. Again, we have to let you guys learn how to use a calculator. So 13 times 1 and 4/10. Now we should get 18 and 2/10. And if we get that, we're correct. 18 and 2/10, we are correct. So it checks. All right, for the other problem, again, I do encourage you guys to pause the video and solve it. So let's try this out. The dividend, we have 243 10,000ths divided by 39 hundredths. Okay. Now again, what we want to do is we want to bring that decimal point in the divisor over twice. So there it is. And what we do to the outside, we have to do to the inside. So let's go 1, 2. All right. Now we have to think here. So how many times can 39 fit into 27? Well, 39 can fit into 27. It can't. So we're just going to put 0. Now, how many times can 39 fit into 200? Well, let's just figure this out. So yeah, 39 can go into 273 about 7 times. And 39 times 7 is actually 273. 273 take away 273 is going to be 0. Now that decimal point, since it's here, goes straight up. So your quotient is going to be 7/10. So 273 10,000ths divided by 39 hundredths is going to equal 7/10. Here's what I mean. So let's go ahead and check it. So we're going to use the inverse operation of division, which is multiplication. So we're going to take the quotient 7/10 times the divisor 39 hundredths. Again, we want you guys to learn how to use a calculator. So the quotient is the answer to this division problem. So this is going to be equal 7/10. So we're going to take 7/10 times the divisor 39 hundredths. And it should equal the dividend 273 10,000ths. 273 10,000ths. There we go. So it checks. The product matches the dividend. It checks. All right. Let's move on to the last two problems. All right. Again, so we're going to be doing the same process. Set up the problem for solving. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down, repeat as necessary. It's the same thing. So this time we're going to be inserting zeros in the dividend and the quotient. Okay. So basically we use the word annexing. Annexing is basically just doing what it says, writing a zero where there's think of it as placeholders. Okay, a number with no value, well, that's the number 0. So we're going to put that in where we need to. Here we go. So we have the dividend 2 and 45 hundredths divided by the divisor 7 ten thousandths. So here we go. So 2 and 45 hundredths divided by the divisor 7 ten thousandths. Okay, make sure that 0 looks like a 0. All right, so here again, you're going to move that decimal point all the way to the right, but you got to count 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, what you do to the outside, you have to do to the inside. So go and count 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, what we'll have to do is annex a 0 here as a placeholder. All right. A 0 is still a number, but a number with no value. Okay. So here we go. So think of this as how many times can 7 fit into 2,450 now? Now these are whole numbers because we moved that decimal point all the way to the right. All right, here we go. So 7 can go into 24 about 3 times. 7 times 3 is going to be 21. Okay, oops. So we divided, we multiplied, now we're going to subtract. 24 take away 21 is going to be 3. Now we're going to bring down the 5. So 7 can go into 35 about 5 times. Okay. Now 7 can go into 35 5 times, so 7 times 35 is 5 actually. 35. What am I saying? Now 35 take away 35 is 0. So if you bring down that 0, that's basically it. So there you go. Just annex a 0 up top. All right, so let's check this. So we have 2 and 45 hundredths divided by 7 ten thousandths is going to equal 350. So let's check this. All right, let's clear this off. Now when we check, remember we're going to check. So when we check, we're going to take the quotient 350 times 7 ten thousandths. Now we should get the product just like the dividend, 2 and 45 hundredths. Here we go. So 350 times 7 ten thousandths equals 2 and 45 hundredths. So it does check. Our product here matches our dividend. Okay. Last one, and again I do encourage you guys to pause the video, write the problem down, solve it using these steps, and then let's compare answers. Thank you for doing that. So this is the very last problem. Now we're going to take the dividend 32 divided by the divisor 1 and 25 hundredths. So write 32 here divided by 1 and 25 hundredths. Same process. Take that decimal point, move it over to all the way to the right. We moved over twice. So if you have a whole number, just know that your decimal point's always behind the ones place. You're still going to have to move that decimal point over twice. 1, 2. So we have to annex 2 zeros here. Okay. Now let's go ahead and figure this out. So we got to figure out how many times 125 can fit into 3,200. Well, let's see here. 125 can fit into 200 or 320 twice. Okay, let's see. Yeah, about twice. Now, 125 times 2 is going to be 250. Now 320 take away 250 is going to be 70. Then bring down that 0. Now 125 can divide into 700 about 5 times. 125 times 5 is going to be 625. 700 take away 625, you're going to have 75. And then what you'll have to do is you will have, here's a decimal point by the way, you will have to annex a 0 and bring that down. Now 125, how many times can that divide into 750? Well, just a rough estimate, it could go in there about 6 times. 125 times 6 is going to be 750. 750 take away 750 is going to be 0. And that decimal point you have here goes straight up. So now you have the quotient 25 and 6/10 as the quotient, the answer to this division problem. Let me read the problem. So we have the dividend 32 divided by the divisor 32 divided by the divisor 1 and 25/100 equals 25 and 6/10. Okay, so let's check this out. So we're going to check. So we're going to take the quotient 25 and 6/10 and we're going to multiply it by let's see here, the divisor 1 and 25/100. Okay, again, we're going to use a calculator because we need to learn how to do that. Okay, so the quotient 25 and 6/10 times the divisor 1 and 25/100 is going to equal the dividend 32. They match. So it checks. We are correct. Okay. So good job, ladies and gents. Remember, if you follow the division process, you can divide literally anything. You can divide whole numbers by decimals, you can divide decimals by whole numbers, and you can divide decimals by decimals and whole numbers by whole numbers. So set up the problem for solving, divide, multiply, subtract, bring it down, repeat as necessary, and if you need to, use a calculator, but please show your work. And again, our success criteria for 2.7 dividing decimals is that by now you should be able to divide decimals by whole numbers. You should also be able to divide decimals by decimals and divide whole numbers by decimals. So thank you, and I do appreciate you guys being here. We'll see ya.